What up, friends? Wednesday night edition of the Geoff Fienberg Show here on FTNDaily.com, presented by PrizePicks. Head over to PrizePicks, use that free promo code FTN, get it on the action for that 100% instant match bonus. Exciting night here. Two guests. We're going to start off the show with my guy, Andy Lack at ADP Lack Sports. In a few minutes time, we'll get it going. Had Andy on a lot this season, so figured it was a nice way. May as well end the season with Andy. And Andy has spent a lot of time over the years giving the NFL a lot of attention, despite pivoting off that to more of a golf-focused role, as you might have heard by listening to his content, or just by seeing the great output of golf content that he has, put out this season. Certainly worth a follow and something that I agree with, I guess, that move that he has made. But that doesn't mean that he has tons of football thoughts percolating through his mind like a lot of us do, because it's football season. Football season starts in a week. Right now, it's 10 p.m. Eastern on the East Coast, just after 10 p.m. We'll probably be at halftime tomorrow night. I'm excited. I'll get tomorrow night. That's how excited I am. Tomorrow I got a big golf match with some buddies. I'm bringing cash. Should be good. I'm feeling tuned in. It's late in the season. I got some icy hot rubbed already in on my back. Gotta be up and raring to go, full focus. Gonna get a good night's sleep after this show. I'm heading over to PrizePicks. They have changed the look a bit over there. It is a stunning website, easy to navigate, multi-sport, tickets galore. I get caught making my Vladimir Guerrero and golf multi-sport tickets, but for tomorrow, for this week over at PrizePicks, lots of options as it pertains to the Tour Championship, but you get in on the action, whether it be NFL football. I say preseason, no more preseason. NFL football, MLB on the go. Premier League seems to be happening regularly. I know I don't pay attention, but I do see it filling my feed on the regular. And of course, the Tour Championship, lots of options over at PrizePicks. I can tell you for a first round over-under projection, I am playing Jordan Spieth to the over of 69. Jordan's a guy that I'm picking on a bit this week. I've even played him against him in head-to-heads with Abe Answer, and I'm laying 5 cents, which you might think is weird because that's Jordan Spieth and the other guy's Abe Answer. But I don't know. I'm playing the trends right now. Answer over Spieth. Spieth's a big fade for me this week, so I'm getting that going, starting that on PrizePicks with Jordan Spieth under 69 on PrizePicks tomorrow, and Colin Morikawa. Spieth over 69, Morikawa over 69, Victor Hovland under 69. That's the three-man power play I am making for round one of the Tour Championship at East Lake. Tino, if Andy is in the house, I don't want to waste any more time. We'll get right into it. My guy, Andy Lack, ADP Lack Sports. Geez, I was going to say, he had a name change, and I'm already confused. Inside Golf Pod, from the Inside Golf Pod. I like that. I agree with the pivot, Andy. So I condone that. Well done. Tino, if Andy is around, drop him in here. That might have been my computer that just shocked my system. But Andy, what up, my man? Andy Lack, ADP Lack Sports. I was telling everybody that the vigor that you have put into golf, that does exist, I think, for you as it pertains to the NFL. But golf is just, I assume, in this new world of new opportunities that have come your way. As you mentioned on your pod a couple weeks ago, golf has just taken such a focus for you. It has created opportunities that you are going 100% full into golf. But that doesn't mean there's lots of football thoughts that I hope you find a way of sharing with the people regularly.
And he just backed out, Jeff. I think he's having technical issues.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of that might have been his audio that came in and shocked me a bit. Whatever. Tino, do me a favor, try to get that sorted out with Andy. I'll plug him again for a third time when he comes back. I don't have a problem doing it.
He's back. Let's see if he'll be all right this time. Here we go.
Andy, you with me?
I got you.
All right, let's go. So you've made the full pivot to golf, but like every cold-blooded, Tino, you figure that out with Andy. I've been there before, Andy. Don't worry about it. My audio often sucks.
I got you. We're going. I think it's on my end, so I'm going. I don't have a mic, but I want.
Yeah, that's okay. I've been there before, where this like new nice setup I got doesn't work, and I just go rogue talking through the computer.
What's going on, buddy? It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to chat. Football's in a week. Like I said a couple times, golf has become your baby, but like a lot of cold-blooded American men, football. Like we all just love football. We all have our thoughts on football. In some ways, we all think people want to hear what we want to say on football. It's a far more crowded space. So I think, like you say, you sort of found your lane of opportunity in the golf space. But football, that doesn't mean that isn't a, how do you put it? It's just like by osmosis, a way of life, right? Like 12 months a year, NFL is always on the mind.
100%. Yeah. When it gets kind of going into mid-August and golf is winding down, I start getting that feeling. And I still keep up with the fall events. I'm still going to be doing content around them. I'll still be doing podcasts. I'll still be betting them. But I get into that zone with, I'm a big fantasy guy. I'm a huge bettor too on a week-to-week basis as well. So right now is like prime kind of, I've been eyeing those futures for months now, but right now I'm kind of in like solidifying everything mode, doing kind of my final projections.
Okay, when you say big bettor, like that's and I'll get into it with you in a bit, you know, well you can let me know which futures you're sitting on, but that's like just week to week games, sides, totals, props, like everything, right? Just sort of like a golf card, outrights, props, whatever works, right? Yes. DFS, everything.
Yeah, sides and total. I'm more into season-long fantasy than I am DFS, but sides and totals, props, yes, ton of that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get into football with you in just a moment, but I'm going to give you a chance to just sort of choose your own adventure as it pertains to golf. Tour Championship, Bryson incident today, Ryder Cup as a whole, anything from the season that you like haven't gotten over on your mind here, as we are pretty much on the eve of the end. Like it's like a cherry on top of a sundae. No one comes to golf season for this cherry. The ice cream's gone, the brownies are gone, the fudge sauce is gone. But yeah, so just, I don't know, closing golf thoughts or anything you want.
Yeah, I've kind of warmed to this event as the week has gone on a little bit. I'm going at it from the shadow leaderboard. I know we've been DMing about that a little bit. I think the format is flawed. With that being said, I don't know if I have the perfect solution to it. So I'm gonna watch. I'm excited for it, but Jeff, I'm probably more into Ryder Cup mode by now, and you know we can do as much Ryder Cup as you want to, or we can hop right into football.
Yeah, and I'll even be looking to tail a couple guys in my feed, you know, Solheim picks, because I love it all. I get into it. Like I'll watch that maybe more than the Tour Championship. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch the Tour Championship. And the PGA Tour doesn't need to cater an event that works for bettors. Like that, I understand that entirely. And by the concept of that I go by many times, there are a lot of like golf fans, like they're just there to have a great weekend of TV. Like, I guess that's what they're looking for. I bring it up often, but you know, my dad's up there in age, but like it's Golf Channel and it's like cable news and whatever, some like Law and Order, whatever he might watch, or movies he's seen 100 times but can't remember. but he's like the guy, the cars or the pharmaceuticals or like investments. Like that's the guy that they are advertising to. And he's just going to turn it on Saturday and he's going to see a leaderboard and he doesn't even care how that leaderboard got there. There's going to be a leaderboard that we start with plus 36 holes. I don't know that people care. We're probably just an echo chamber unless they want to go match play and give like guys a bigger buy or certain hole leads. Then I don't think there is a perfect answer if they want to have it not be two separate leaderboards.
I agree. I don't think there is a perfect answer. I'm okay with the staggered start. If anything, I would make it. I think the playoffs it's a lot of points that you get from winning the Tour Championship and winning from winning the Northern Trust and winning the BMW. For me personally, I would like it to be a little bit more weighted towards accumulation of who has had the best season. But again, it's like, I'm fine with it for the most part. I think, from a betting perspective, you're going to have a difficult, I'm never going to enjoy betting an event with 30 players to begin with. So the fact that it has a staggered start, like it's all right.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like the Tour or the TOC. Like you wouldn't even bet that hard anyway. And this is just, yeah, no, I agree. It is what it is. And as I mentioned in some of my content this week, Andy, if it's something you are like a hardened into following and tracking, there'll be opportunities with the live betting because the book, like football's here and we see opportunities with the golf, like regularly, they could be asleep at the wheel. They're going to get like if someone's making a move on college like they can get got. So that's what you want to do, or even pay attention to the wording on some books because they're kind of confused in and of themselves. I don't know. I'm expecting Jon Rahm to win the big bag. I'd like Tony Finau too, but I'm expecting Rahm to win the big bag.
Yeah, I can see it. I think I'm probably a little bit cooler on Rahm in general than the market and odds makers. I think he probably should be favored. I'm okay with that, but that's more so kind of an indictment on how I feel about Bryson on this course, how I feel about Cantlay on this course, how I feel about Finau on this course, than it is me kind of believing that Jon Rahm is necessarily the world beater that I think a lot of other people do. I like a lot of those guys at 4, man. I like Sam Burns a lot this week at 4. I like Justin Thomas a lot at 4. I think Harris English is a guy that hasn't been talked about at all, but he's sitting at 4 too and has been playing great. So that kind of group at like like Rory and DJ at 2 and 3 are getting a lot more respect than I think some really good players in that 4 and 5 range, even Cam Smith. So I think even or 1, that's a tough ask, man. So I'm really focused on like that 4, 5, 6 range kind of.
Yeah, you're not alone in there. And I'll get you off on this. We'll give credit to our buddy Nagels in the sort of like he has been championing that like there are opportunities here. And he's even like joking with me. It's all in good fun. He's a real, I've never met him like you have, but he's lighthearted and it's fun. But he's like, this is just like when guys show up to majors complaining, you're already beaten, you and Mayo, like saying how much you hate the event. I'm like, hey, that's fair. And I'll give him credit on one other point is if you do want to allow yourself to believe, like, pardon the language, fuck Cantlay, Tony Finau's not a guy that like can instill major confidence. Bryson is a wild card. So I understand that logic of saying like, no, to me, because if you want to bet those guys down the pack, you have to convince yourself of something.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. Like I understand the argument of saying, no, fuck those 3 guys. I'm only 5 back and it's wrong. Now that's daunting, but it's less daunting than I'm 8 back and it's Rahm, Bryson, Cantlay, Finau. Now, obviously any of those guys can win and all 3 of those guys you might dismiss can have great weeks, but I get, like, I don't hate that line of thinking. I'm not totally there. The history of event in the 2 years hasn't allowed me to totally get myself there. But if that's where you want to go, like, that's the one thing that in Nagel's championing this format, like, I was like, okay, I'll like point Nagels, like point, I'll give you a point for that, because I do that every time. But but you're kind of also telling yourself that Patrick Cantlay accepts Straka when you're doing that. And that's not fair. It's not Thursday, and it's not Sepp, and I don't want to make fun of other guys, but you know what I mean? It's not Sepp and Bobby Shelton at the top.
100%. I do know what you mean. I think for me, it's more like Patrick Cantlay gained 15 strokes putting last week. Bryson gained 8 strokes putting last week. Tony Finau gained 6 strokes putting last week. I don't think they're going to do that again. I think their putting is going to regress big time. And I think you look at kind of those 3 guys, and I don't think any of them are what DJ is, right? Was at the point that the form that DJ was in, it was unbelievable. It's way better than what Jon Rahm is doing right now. He won 5 times in the last calendar year when he was on that run. So I don't know. I think it's probably more of we don't have a lot of data on it. We only have 2 years, and one of the years Rory started at 5 and came back. And last year, Xander played awesome, and he kind of went scorched earth, and it still wasn't good enough to beat DJ, who shot 11 under. So I guess you're right. It kind of just comes down to how warm or cold you are on those top kind of 3 guys of Bryson, Finau, and Cantlay. And I think I'm just a little bit cooler on them than I think some others.
Both you and I were very high on Victor. Well, regularly, no pun intended either, I guess, as it's for Victor or anybody. Obviously it's an enormous ask. I think he's at what, 3, but only, in the sense that, I try to tell myself, listen, he can go nuclear, like shoot a 7 under. Cantlay shoots 2 under, and then 7 becomes like a small, like 3 or 4, and there's still 3 rounds to play. You do that Friday or Thursday or Friday, sort of, and you're just right there to set yourself up for the weekend. Nonetheless, big ask, but both you and I were pretty hungry. You'd rather eat that 29, 30, 28 to 1 than pay 40 to have to jump everybody and win that bag of money, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm all over Victor in the shadow leaderboard. It wouldn't shock me, like I said, of kind of the guys that are at 3 and at 4. I think Hovland at 3 is the most likely, in my opinion, to win the whole thing. But I feel a little bit more comfortable with him on the shadow leaderboard. I think this is a great course for him, and I'm surprised that he hasn't been more highly touted, in my opinion. He's been, I think it's the ball striking hasn't gone anywhere for him, Jeff, even though the finishes recently haven't been as the normal Vic that we're used to seeing, but the ball striking has still been there. He just hasn't been able to putt, and he's underrated on Bermuda, man. 2 of his best performances of the year came at the Wells Fargo on Bermuda and Valspar. Those are the only 2 times all year where he gained over 4 strokes putting. So I think we're going to see some positive regression from Vic with the putter. I think he's due for a big putting week. And yeah, I like him a ton this week. I'm in on him I think I got him at 28 to 1 to shoot the lowest score.
Yeah, I love it. That would be fun. Okay, Andy, lay it on me. NFL. I'm sure you've been deep diving it, because if anybody follows Andy, you just see like the work ethic and how in depth you do take your golf coverage, and like just in terms of talking about how seriously you take allocating your funds. So I've known you for a short period of time, but I am certain you take that exact same methodical approach to wagering on football. What is on the tip of your tongue here that you want to tell me, either a future bet or just a team you love or something you freaking hate, like, or that you want to fade? Lay it on me, man. The floor is yours.
Okay. Let me break down to you what I'm thinking from I go through all my stages of my NFL research, and I kind of start like making my own rankings and trying to formulate like, where am I different from the market in terms of the win totals and the Super Bowl odds and stuff like that. And there were a couple things that kind of stood out to me. Number one, I think that there is separate, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I think the NFC is wide open. I really do. I'm a little bit lower on the Bucks than maybe I should be. I think the Packers are going to be great. I think the whole Aaron Rodgers thing has thrown a lot of people off their scent, and I hammered that season win total over 10.
Good for you.
I think they're closer to a 12 or 13 win team. And then the one other team that I wanted to bring up, and then I want to get your take on it, but man, the Seahawks at 12-1 to win the NFC. I'm a little bit lower than the Rams on most, and I think a little bit lower than the 49ers on most. And I look at the Seahawks, man, and I also bet Russell Wilson to win MVP, man. I think he's due for a bit of a fuck you year. And the last thing I look at this team, it's like their defense was great at the end of the year, man. And now we get a full season of Jamal Adams back. I still think there's a gear that we haven't necessarily seen with Metcalf. I still think he could level up a little bit and combine him with Lockett. That might be the most explosive wide receiver duo in the league. I love the Seahawks at 12-1 to win the NFC. And I think for me, it's kind of them and Packers at the top.
Yeah, I mean, I like where your head is at. I think most agree. It does feel wide open. I struggled even like finding a team. I'm not as high on the Bucks as most, but I still struggled finding the teams, or a good amount of teams that could take them on in that sense. I agree with Seattle. I do. I'm not as high on the Rams as a lot of teams. And the Packers are very interesting, Andy, because going 2 years ago, they kind of, I lost a lot of money on them. They caught me by surprise. They were like doing it weird. And then last year, I was expecting regression. Like they can't have the same results with the same sort of on that fine line. And they were so much better. They were dominant on first down. They didn't turn the ball over. They did everything right. And they didn't regress. They got better. And yeah, now it feels like there's a great opportunity for the Packers. So I think those are quiet teams, and the Russell thing, I'm not just here to put air in your tires, but I look at an award like MVP, and unless you're really gonna like bat out of hell it like a Lamar Jackson, in some ways, the voters really do want to make it like a life. They have no problem turning it into like a bit of a quasi lifetime achievement for a player of Russ's caliber who's never really been presented to them. Like last year, he got that hype like week 5, 6, 7, 8, but by the time it was time to vote, he's never really been an option for them. So I think they'd be very eager to cast a ballot for Russell. And in terms of just, and just in terms of identifying NFC teams in a wide open conference, I think you're on the right track. Okay,
now let me ask you AFC. Let's go to your favorite conference. And you'll probably be not as happy to hear this, but
that's okay.
When I went back into it, I really think that the Bills and Chiefs are on a different level than everyone else. I really do. I have a harder, like in the NFC, I think it's a little more wide open, where it wouldn't shock me if an Arizona or a Minnesota or even a New Orleans or a Washington is kind of a buzzy team that some smart football guys I talk to like. I think some of those teams could sneak up on people and maybe make a run. I really think the Bills and the Chiefs, the more I think about it, the more I look at it, like Ravens with the Dobbins injury, and like they have no skill guys that I trust. The Browns have a fantastic roster, but I have a difficult time seeing Baker Mayfield beating some of those other quarterbacks in that conference. So the more I think about it, man, I really think it's a 2-horse race in the AFC between the Bills and the Chiefs. And I think they're on a little bit of a different level than kind of that second tier with the Ravens, the Browns, the Chargers, maybe the Dolphins, maybe the Patriots. I think they're far and away above all those other teams. Do you think that's a stretch?
No, I think that's very fair. I would maybe put the Browns like closest to them. I do like the Browns a lot. The Browns can be really good on both lines. They get Delpit back, who didn't play last year from LSU, the first round pick. The guy, the safety they brought in from the Browns, they're really set up to be really good. Odell back. So there are a lot of like things in a coach that I think people trust is going to be pretty good. He won coach of the year last year. So I do like the Browns, but I don't disagree. And the thing is unfortunate for the Ravens. And I would agree with your assessment that Chargers, in no particular order, you could have your own opinions on all of them, but the Chargers, Dolphins, there are a few teams that like you can get excited about. There's things to be excited about. You could see how like a ceiling could play out earlier than you think, but yeah, you're not ready. They've got to make playoff games. There's still question marks. So I don't disagree with any of that. And I'll use this, your prognostication to pat myself on the back. It's my biggest NFL future is Sean McDermott to win coach of the year. I bet it at 18-1.
Love that.
He won it and lost it in a tie last year to Stefanski. If the Bills are dominant, he's going to get it. He's going to get it. They want to acknowledge what he's done for Buffalo. Like in the same way they wanted Stefanski to get it. I don't know. The fact McDermott didn't get it last year, I think creates this betting opportunity, especially when you compare that at 18-1 to the Allen MVP, the division or the conference, or even their Super Bowl odds. I think it's dropped a bit, but that is what I like. It's hard to disagree with that assessment. Any surprise thoughts in the AFC? If you give them to me.
I like Mac Jones a lot. I think the Patriots are going to be good. I think people forget how many guys they're getting back on defense. I mean, they had a lot of COVID opt-outs last year, and they still went 9-7. Their win total right now
7-9, but it feels. I said it feels like they were a 3-win team, like the way people spoke about them.
Yeah. So I think I'm a little bit higher on the Patriots than the market. I just have a lot of faith in that coaching staff. And I think that defense is going to be a lot better, although they are missing. Gilmore did get injured. I think he's missing the first 5 games of the season. That's a big hit to their secondary. He's obviously one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, but I think it's really going to be tight between Miami, the Patriots, and the Chargers, one of those teams is going to miss the playoffs. And that's
of course.
And I have a hard time figuring out which one is out. And I keep kind of flip-flopping between them. The Tua buzz, have you been keeping up with the training camp stuff that people are talking about Tua?
It's been very positive.
Very positive.
It looks good. And I'm happy. Like, that's great. That he deserves the chits. They brought in players. They brought in a line. Go get it. Like, that's fine. Dolphins fans got nothing to worry about. Either Tua's going to be great or good, and he'll be their quarterback, or he'll be bad, and Deshaun Watson's their quarterback next year. Dolphins are fine. The whole Tua thing, Andy, I came out of the gate running like 100-yard dash to glory. I'm being lapped by I can't keep up. That was like this whole like rookie swag thing. I have not whatever. I got buddies that like the Dolphins. I don't know. I enjoy seeing them happy. I'll enjoy seeing them upset. I'm kind of over it. I was just made a thing like I wasn't seeing ceiling plays. That was it. But he looks healthy. He's moving. He's going to throw a lot of interceptions trying to get the ball to Gesicki, and I want to own Gesicki. So there.
I think it's a good offense for him. I think that they have a good infrastructure in place for him. I don't think they're going to ask him to do too much. I'm with you. I haven't seen the wow factor that I've seen from a Herbert yet in terms of that ceiling that you're referring to. So I'm with you. I think in terms of any other surprises close to the bottom of the conference, like I said, I think they're a lot more interesting teams in the NFC
Yeah.
that I could see. Like I think the Panthers are going to be frisky.
Agreed. Yeah.
There's a Washington thing that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. There's some really smart people that I trust that are a lot higher on them than I am. It seems like no one knows what to do with the Saints either. There are people that think they're going to be terrible and their win total is sitting at 9. I think they're going to be good. But I mean, I can see an argument on both sides. I think they're kind of more of a polarizing team as well. So like I said, Jeff, I think if you're going to take some shots, I think the move is to take more shots in the NFC.
Yeah, I totally agree. Whether that there are opportunities there, you don't have to take on Mahomes and Allen to get to the Super Bowl. Even, all the hate on a team like, Minnesota, who I'll be talking about in a few minutes with my next guest, Dom Cintorino. I'm sure it does feel like there are lanes, there are opportunities to get hot and make something happen with the future in the NFC. Andy, thank you so much, man. Golf season, it's a bit of a blur, but it's over and it starts again quickly, and football's here, and we'll be talking about all of it. So follow Andy at ADP Lack Sports on Twitter. He's thorough, he's methodical, he's everything I am not, and that is something you want to be following. So I thank him for joining me again, and give him a follow, and he'll be back soon.
Jeff, thanks so much, buddy. Sorry again for the audio at the beginning, but always great time talking to you, buddy, and much love. I'm sure we'll do it again soon, my man.
Yeah, no worries. Listen, I don't know. I've blasted other people's shows with my horrible audio before, so I can't complain, as we all sort of got comfortable with our new setups. PrizePicks.com. Use that promo code FTN. 100% instant match bonus up to $100. It's you versus the projections over at PrizePicks.com. Hot new look over at PrizePicks. Easy to navigate. Jump around the site. Make your multi-sport tickets, sport to sport, NFL futures, NFL player projections, week 1 projections, Major League Baseball, PGA, soccer. I don't want to make a comment. I don't know if there's fights this week. There's always fights. Of course there's fights this week. UFC, I don't know the name of, but I'm sure it's going on this week. You make your multi-sport tickets. I have a power play for round 1 of the Tour Championship. Jordan Spieth to the over, Colin Morikawa to the over, and Victor Hovland to the under. I believe each one of them coming in with a first round score projection of 69 to be exact. Good times, man. Football, a week tomorrow. It'll be halftime. Cowboys, Bucks, and we're right into it. Like I say, that week 1 Thursday nighter is just a tease. It's just a tease. You just try to get off on it, and then falling asleep and getting to Sunday for your full slate of games. I hate that my Chargers play at 1:00 on Sunday. I hate it. I want to watch all your teams play and then watch the Chargers play at 4, but they'll be in Washington on the East Coast. So, honestly, come Monday, I got to think about, I've been thinking about Washington for like months. It's not a good week 1 draw. It's not a fun game to have to think about. Very annoying. And maybe it could be a sloppy game. The most exciting game, I'd say, on that week 1 board, at least for me, and probably a lot of you right now, just as whether you're an NFC fan, an AFC fan, I don't know what team you might like or not like, but 4:00, the Bama Bowl of Tua versus Mac Jones, Patriots versus the Dolphins. That to me has quickly become probably the most intriguing game of week 1, along with the Browns Chiefs. I think the Browns could be pretty live for an upset there. That doesn't make me change my projection on how dominant I think the Chiefs will be over the course of the year, but I could honestly see something sneaky happening in that one. Tino, if Dom is here, you could throw him right in as we can start talking some week 1 football. NFL season just a few weeks away. Dom has the draw that I had last year. I had this draw last year. Off to Cincinnati, week 1. Tyrod Taylor got the win for the Chargers. This will be a new Joe Burrow. But Dom, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Before we get into other topics, let's jump right into the Vikings. I'm an outsider. I'm not as low on them as it seems like other people are. Maybe I'm making up that people are low on them. There does seem to be this perception that there's a stank there. And that could just strictly be this whole Cousins thing. And maybe once games start, that'll just like, as long as it doesn't become a thing and, you know, fingers crossed, nobody gets it, the COVID. But it seems like there's a public stank around the Vikings right now. I'm not buying into it, though. I'm not, despite my opinions on what Cousins is doing, I'm not buying into it. I'm still pretty high on the Vikings.
Yeah, there's definitely a stank there. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what it is. I think it is a Cousins thing. It's just unattractive. It's an unattractive team to like. The only real buzz they had is when people thought Aaron Rodgers wasn't going to show up. And me and you talked about that for quite a while. Like, people were like, Vikings, NFC North, go bet the Vikings to win the conference, whatever the case may be. And now Rodgers is back. Justin Fields is looking good, and they're just kind of getting brushed under the rug, I think, again.
Yeah, but not much has really, changed per se, other than I guess just the talking points aren't positive, right? Because it is just boggled down by that Cousins stuff. And instead of talking about the defense sort of being healthier, Zimmer sort of trying to recreate the defense to get it back. Jefferson Thielen, like a lot of things. Like Thielen seems like he's getting slept on in ADP. Guys don't want to own him. I don't know whether they're like afraid of Cousins. Jefferson, I guess people assume are just quarterback proof. So he would go anywhere. So yeah, overall from fantasy to just news stories, I'm not hearing anything positive. So lay a positive Viking story on me then. Lay one on me.
So it's really hard to take anything positive away from the preseason. They haven't looked great at all, but at the same time, they're not playing 100% their starters. So I'm not too concerned. But like you said, Jefferson, Thielen, Delvin Cook, I mean, arguably the top receiver duo and running back combination in the league, in my opinion, and I'm not going to downplay that whatsoever. Now Irv Smith Jr. is out for the year. Honestly, not too concerned. They went out and made a move for Chris Herndon, a guy who's going to play the whole season at 25 years old. This is a guy who in fantasy football, he's been talked about as having a breakout, quote unquote, year for the last 2 years now after he had a solid rookie campaign. I mean, he did pretty well down the stretch. He had the 10th most targets over the last couple weeks there, kind of picked it up late, but the combination of him and Tyler Conklin, who I've been touting Tyler Conklin all year long, saying it was going to be kind of him and Irv Smith. Well, now it's just going to be Herndon and Conklin. So I don't think they're missing a whole lot there.
Yeah, no, I agree. There are far more positive things when you sort of think about the roster, the depth chart. They're a fun team, I'm sure to play some offense with and Madden,
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the defense, they regressed a bit last year, whether it was injuries or some COVID things. Zimmer, I don't know, lost his footing on that. From the outside, a lot of us, just sort of blindly discussing the Vikings with other people, we have enough confidence in Zimmer that, like, for now, we believe he's just going to fix it. Because, like, that's what, that is just sort of the belief that he has allowed us to, the equity, I should say, he has built up in, me, a football fan who's not living and dying with the Vikings, but that's the perception. Is that, like, are we expecting that to be a reality, though?
Yeah, and to be honest, the defense can't get worse. I truly believe it can't get worse than last year. They already have 4 brand new starters on the defensive line. You get Danielle Hunter, an all-pro pass rusher back. You add 2 D tackles who are making $10 million plus a year now, compared to guys they were pulling off the practice squad, it seemed like, every single week. The secondaries looked poor in preseason, but Patrick Peterson hasn't dressed yet. Some of the young guys are struggling, which the young D-backs are going to struggle. So even if the defense isn't what I think they're going to be. It's going to be an upgrade from last year, which in the long run is going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, for a team as talented as they are, I don't mean to keep going back to it. It's just been a really negative
It has.
I don't want to say off season, but it's just been a negative news cycle. Like they're not the Detroit Lions. I'm trying to think. I'm just looking at these other teams. I would say the Giants as well. Like it's just been the news cycle has not been kind to them, like for different reasons. And normally the teams that everyone kind of hates going into the year for reasons that are probably more less steeped in reality than other things, I don't know, always usually seem to overperform.
Yeah, I think the Giants is actually a decent comparison there. It's got a quarterback that people love to hate, two horrible offensive lines who make both quarterbacks look worse than they actually are. Even though the Vikings made a couple upgrades on the O-line, Jeff, that's going to be their biggest downfall. I mean, that's going to make or break them. I really believe that.
Yeah, no, I guess that makes total sense as it pertains to the Vikings. The NFC, as I just discussed, with Andy.
Yeah.
And as I, doing some of my own content in this last little bit with Pat and what have you, it's projecting the NFC. It's not that there are options. So I buy into an angle he was taking that might be an attractive future situation. He brought up Seattle. He brought Green Bay. I went a step below and even mentioned your Vikings, but is there a team in the NFC that you believe could be a live future opportunity, gets themselves into that tournament? And hey, I don't know, all of a sudden you're not that scared of the opponent road.
It's just so cluttered. I don't know where to go, to be honest with you. Like I keep going back to the NFC West, and it's like all four, you can make a case for all four of those teams. You really can. I love what Kyler was able to do at points last year. I do think Stafford's going to push the Rams up past what we saw a year ago as well. So I just think there are so many teams. I would kind of take the route of picking teams to make the playoffs, because there's some pretty good numbers out there when you just do straight up to make the playoffs. I mean, the Vikings seem to make it every other year. They missed last year and they're plus 110 to make it this year. So it's like there's some pretty good opportunities. You see Dallas minus 120 to make the playoffs. I mean, there's just a lot of it's a cluttered mess in the NFC. And I heard you talk to Andy a little bit about Tampa. I mean, sure, they're easy to be the favorites and they're easy for people to go back to them, but at the same time, there's a lot of teams that can really make a run here come January.
Yeah, I didn't love picking them as far as I picked them. I was just like, please give me somebody to go against them. And it's almost like I have noticed a trendy, I don't even want to say a trendy thing. You brought up the NFC West. They're a fun division to talk about. They're probably easily the most fun division to break down when discussing the NFC. So it's almost like in a cocky way, we all feel like we want to call our shot as to which one of these teams is going to win it, because it is so wide open, to begin with. And then it feels like the teams that advance from that division probably could control the road to the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts on the Rams? I'm not as high on them as most. Andy mentioned he's not as high on them as most. I do expect, obviously, things to get better. It's Matt Stafford. I'm not oblivious to that. But I do think people are oblivious to having given Stafford way too big of a free pass, Dom. You were in a division with this guy. So you saw Sundays where you probably saw his best and you probably saw his worst. But something else you've seen watching this league over long enough is you've seen quarterbacks carry teams, even teams that weren't that good, to maybe a playoff win if they're as good as we want Matt Stafford to be. And a lot of those quarterbacks didn't have Calvin Johnson. And their defense was they had a spot there where it was good.
Yeah.
And I have just this memory of 3 and out in a big moment. And maybe it's because I lost a lot of freaking money on whatever playoff game is here, but I can't totally remember it. It was just 3 and out. Not even like a little blood dump to the back to get the first down, get you like a bit, and then make your mistake, like Philip would have done for me. Just 3 and out. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to hold him to 1 or 2 moments, but I
Right.
do feel like way too big of a free pass has been given to the quarterback that played with Calvin freaking Johnson.
Yeah. So not only have I watched him in a division, I'm also in a state where he's on. That's the game that I get to watch. So when the Vikings aren't on, it was the Lions that are on. So it's like I've seen plenty of Matthew Stafford. He is not afraid to throw the ball around, but this is a situation where I don't think he's really going to have to. I mean, we saw this defense last year. They got arguably, in my opinion, the top 2 defensive players in the league, in Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald.
Make the case,
you get 2 guys on both ends of the ball where they can literally change a game. So I think if the running backs, Jeff, I'm not a big Sony Michel guy, never have been. I'm not sure I ever really will be. But if Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson can somehow put together a run game that can just kind of ice games towards the end, and Stafford doesn't have to rely on his arm and doesn't have to rely on throwing 50 times a game like he was asked to in Detroit for a majority of his career, I think he can do just what he has to do to manage a game. I'm just kind of concerned about the rushing offense, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably the better approach to this. He'll be great. McVay is there. He'll be put in optimal situations to look great. They'll get him throwing deep, and when they're playing with that defense humming, they'll make sound decisions. I guess I'm picking on Stafford for no reason when I really just, if you want to take a shot at the Rams, you just go to the depth. Say there's a 20-man football team. They survived being a 20-man football team last year with a worse quarterback than they have this year. So now they have a better quarterback. Last year, they might have been a 25-man team. This year, they're a 20-man team. They got hit pretty hard in free agency in the secondary. They lost a coordinator on defense. They lost their passing game coordinator, who I think became the Seahawks. Something. I don't know. They took a lot of lumps. And to me, I guess Stafford really could probably just even out the lumps and everything stays the same. I don't know. I'm not picking them to win the West. I'm not there.
I think I'm there just based off of the defense. But like I said, I don't know. One of my favorite fantasy football targets, and I got him in our FTN daily draft last night, is Cooper Kupp. I got him as my wide receiver 1. I could just see that being Stafford's guy. I mean, that being his go-to guy. You look at what Woods and Kupp have been able to do over the last 2-3 seasons together. It's unbelievable what they've done with Jared Goff. And you throw Matthew Stafford into the mix, like you just said, you get an upgrade at quarterback. The sky's the limit for these 2.
I don't disagree in any way. All right, let's jump a bit over AFC. Every division is intriguing in its own way outside of the South, but nothing I think is sort of captivating us at the moment, more so than what's happening in the AFC East between, Josh Allen's, he's now an MVP perennial guy. Oh, not, he's got to do it again, but whatever. And now we've got these 3 rookie and second-year quarterbacks. How do you think this unfolds? Are there games outside of a Viking game that you anticipate more than watching Patriots Dolphins week 1?
As bad as it sounds, I think I've mentioned to you before, I'm still excited for this Jags Houston game just because
of course.
I want to see Trevor get unleashed.
Yeah.
Outside of that,
I'm where I got there's like 9 games at 1:00. I go, my buddy's got a great setup. He's got 7 TVs, so we kind of something's got to be put on like computer monitors and whatever. We've already discussed, like, no, we are watching Trevor Lawrence's first throws in this league are as paramount as anything that happens week 1. And we'll be excited to have our eyes there early. But yeah, just, I guess, without you sharing my enthusiasm, your thoughts now on how that AFC East will play out. I believe the Bills are going to run away with it. Yeah. But I also think the Dolphins and Patriots are going over their numbers, which is probably bad for me as a Charger fan wanting extra playoff spots or hoping, but I think they all clear their numbers there. I do.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins a lot just from, I mean, you assume Tua's going to take a step forward. I mean, you see what he was coming into the NFL draft. He was one of the highest touted quarterbacks and whatnot. So now you surround him with guys like Jalen Waddle, who he played with at Alabama. You got Devontae Parker. You got Myles Gaskin and Malcolm Brown. Do with that as you will. But you look at the wide receiver trio added to Mike Gesicki. I mean, this just sets up really well for Tua to really take a leap forward in his second year. So I would go with the Dolphins once you go past the Bills. Do I think they're going to take the AFC East? No, I really don't think they can compare. But when it comes to the second team and the next team up, I would have to go with the Dolphins just because of what I think they're going to be able to do on offense.
Interesting. I agree. Although I am so intrigued by this Patriots team now.
Yeah.
And they've kind of just made themselves like must-see TV again. Because they just like, I don't know, a lot of just tight ends, a lot of short routes. The way he's been coached up at Bama, like, I just think it's going to work out real good. Like, I just got a sense it's going to work out real good. And I don't know what the number is. I'm big on a McDermott coach of the year. But if this thing goes kaboom, like Bill Belichick, like, yeah, Brady won the Super Bowl, but if he develops like another quarterback that has these Brady type, I'm not talking about Super Bowl winning mannerisms, but game day mannerisms, right? Like, we're going to like go gaga again. And by me, I just mean like the national sort of, you know, the way, you know what I'm trying to get at. Like, they're going to just tongues, jaws to the ground for this team and this kid again, I think.
It could be Tom Brady all over again, the same exact offense. And
yeah, the tight ends.
I mean, the way he looked in
everything.
preseason, about 70% completion percentage, just like you said, those short routes. You got Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry both on the field at the same time. Jacoby Myers has shown flashes of what he was able to do last year. And then they brought in guys like Kendrick Bourne and Nelson Aguilar. So
there's nervous.
Who?
I like Trey Lance. I'm a huge Trey Lance fan. Like a lot of people, you just see the raw stuff. But if it's like, if Kyle Shanahan was actually talked off of Mac Jones, whichever people were the champions of banging the desk and trying to talk Kyle off of Mac Jones, they might be like sweating at night right now.
Yeah, because I remember sitting there on draft night.
Just a little bit.
A lot more than a little bit, I think. I mean, Trey Lance played one game last year, and Mac Jones went
never run a 2-minute drill.
Right. Mac Jones went and did what he did. So it's like, I remember sitting there on draft night, I was like, this is Mac Jones. Like the whole way in my head, I was like, this is Mac Jones. Then Trey Lance came off the board, and then Mac Jones just kind of fell for a while. I think I had a under 16.5 on him, and it got to a point where the Vikings were on the clock, and I was like, I hope the Patriots take him, because if they pass him up, there goes that bet.
Yeah. And it was weird, right? And I get it. Like, if your team is drafting a quarterback today, we had 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. 3 of them can move left every which way direction and find an open man. All of them but Mac Jones. Like, that is the outlier now. Next year, I don't know how many quarterbacks we're going to have. 2, 3, 4, 5. 80% of them are going to be like, it'll be like this year. Like 4 out of every 5 are now, you know, just like before it was like 4 passers, 1 rush mover. Now it's the other way. Talking football goes by so fast. Season's in a week. These are the slowest days, Dom. I don't know about you. These days now become the slowest. The summer flies, but this next week is like, I'll do my home league Monday afternoon, and then next week is death. Like waiting for a Chargers kickoff, seeing Chase Young in my dreams. But before I get you out here, can't not bring it up. Tour Championship this week. You can tell me anything you want about it. I don't know who you like, which format, your thoughts on how this thing might turn out, or if you even care about it at all.
It's hard to really focus on it with week 1 staring us right in the face, especially with this type of format. I mean, last year we saw DJ play not the best golf of everybody in the field, and he went ahead and won the thing anyways because he started at 10 under par. To be honest, I like Justin Thomas at 4 under. He kind of stood out to me, as well as Victor Hovland at 3. Those are the two guys coming from behind that I do like. It's crazy to see Rahm as the favorite 4 strokes back. I get he's that good, but seeing him as the top outright number was a little shocking in my opinion, just because, I mean, the 4 strokes is substantial. I don't care who's chasing or who's got the lead. I get you get 4 rounds, and that's going to play into it, but it was kind of shocking to see that. Cam Smith is intriguing. He hasn't been playing all that great, but at the same time, he's the last guy that's kind of starting on an island at 5 under par, and we get him at a pretty good value. You see guys like JT and Spieth and Answer and some of these guys.
People are jumping to him right now, and I like him. I've actually bet him. But yeah, that's a good point. Like, Smith is being forgotten, but he's done much the same. Yeah.
He is. And I kind of looked last year, like, so it's easy to write off guys who aren't starting up towards the top. Like, you get past Cam Smith and even the Justin Thomas, a little bunching for the most part, and it gets kind of dicey. But I kind of took a look back last year. The guys that started at 2 under par, so 16 through 20, both Hatton and Scheffler pushed their way inside the top 10. So you can do it from just about any position. You just have to put together 4 rounds, and it's no telling who's going to be able to do that. But somebody in that 2 under range that I look at is Brooks Koepka. And I'm not usually a Brooks guy, but you say 2 of those guys pushed themselves into the top 10 last year. Brooks is the guy for me this year in that little range. And just his value off of Xander, who's in the same little pairing, is pretty substantial in my opinion. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I totally agree. And any thoughts on the non-starting strokes?
I haven't dug too much into that, just because from a DFS standpoint, it's kind of baked in, especially with the pricing. So I do like EVR a lot, starting down at even par. I think these guys at even par know what they have in front of them. I mean, there's a lot of money for every single place that they go up. So just that in general, they're going to want to push themselves as far up as they can, because this is a pretty big purse. They got here, they're inside the top 30. Why not go after the bag?
Yeah, no, for sure. And you expect all those guys, like Xander loves East Lake. He's got to make a lot of strokes. You expect them to be playing with just like ruthless aggression in some respects. I'm just looking forward to, all I want out of it is the weekend, 2 really good players battling for a big bag of money. And, you know, once we're a couple rounds through, it's just like any tournament. We got scores and we got 36 holes left. So,
yeah,
you know, hopefully when we get there, but I don't know, it'll be over. I don't know what's got to happen for people to really care about it. But Ryder Cup will be soon. Everyone get fired up again. Dom, we'll be chatting maybe some swing season golf, but definitely fall football coming up in the few weeks. Thank you for taking the time to step in with me this evening, my man.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
All the best. Dom Cintorino, you follow him. He's over on the team at FTN. FTN Daily, FTN Bets, he's posting it up, FTN Fantasy, doing it each week, golf, football, getting it done over there. You follow him on Twitter as well. Go over to PrizePicks, use that promo code FTN for your 100% instant match bonus. They've made a whole new look on the site. It was easy to navigate before. Now it's just easy and beautiful. Jumping from sport to sport, making those tickets. I am Geoff Fienberg. I will be back with you Friday afternoon. We will continue to talk National Football League. We will follow what is going on at East Lake, and we'll get ourselves set for week 1 in the National Football League. Because, hey, technically as of tomorrow, it's a game week, but that's probably more like Monday. It's a game week. I'm Geoff Fienberg. We'll see you Friday.